Okay, I'm going to take privilege here, and we're going to stop the questioning, and we're going to allow each candidate the opportunity to sum up their position for 2 minutes, which will then, you will be able to adjourn after I give you a few admonitions. So we're going to start with Steve Martin, and we're going to work up towards EW, so they don't have to compete with EW. They all seem to have the same problem with EW.
I don't mind at all. I love EW though. Listen, it's good to be back here. I've been on this very stage here with the Hobnob in the Valley before, and been up here for the Apple Blossom Festival Parade, very proudly watching parade as my son, who was a cadet at VMI, marched in it. So it's very good to be back here again. You know, the issue of I introduced bills, there's more to it, it's passing bills. As a matter of fact, anything the local government does without a bill having been passed would be against the law. So they really can't do it on their own. But in any event, it really is about experience. We talked about the fact that there are 2 roles that the Lieutenant Governor has. One is to preside over the Senate. And in presiding over the Senate, yes, he makes the rules handles the, rulings, handles the gavel, and casts tie-breaking votes. But also it's checking on the health of the governor. What does that mean? If the governor is not able to do his job for the moment, or for the day, or for the week, or for life, you need to be able to step in and be prepared to be governor. And I think that's important. I think you need some experience, and you need to know what's going on around you. And so I think that I'm the only one on the stage that has that ability to do that. I'm the only one that sits before you that's prepared to do that. And I know others will disagree. I want to tell you, I do respect a great deal of my friend Scott Linghamfelter's background and his leadership. I would appreciate your support. You can check me out further at senatorstevemartin.com, and I'd be happy to receive your questions, your calls. I'd be happy to come and visit with your groups at any time and answer any questions you might have. Can I come close to that? All right, I got 29 seconds left. All right. I decided to turn off on you this time.
That's a real turn-off. Folks, I want to thank you so much for an unbelievable and thoughtful discussion about the issues. You know what? I am very thankful we spent a lot of time talking about the Constitution, central to everything that we do. But we've also, because we're Republicans, talked a lot about the past. We like to do that as Republicans. We do. And I'm very proud of my past. I'm very proud of the record that I've created in bringing jobs to Virginia, in innovation. I'm very proud of the 20 years of work that I've done in our conservative movement. But I think we need to ask, does the future look like? Who has laid out a clear, bold, big ideas agenda on education reform, on getting every sector of the Virginia economy humming on all cylinders by cutting the corporate business tax, and also by ending spending, by reining in the size and scope of government? I'm very proud that the leading group nationally, grassroots group called Ending Spending, has endorsed my candidacy in a major way. These are the same folks who got behind Ted Cruz. They like to pick outsiders who want to shake things up and actually have a real record of getting things done. That's what I will do for you. Bold, conservative ideas to get our party moving and put points on the board for our movement in the future. Thank you very, very much. I need your help and support on May 18th.
I just want to thank all of you for your hard work as grassroots in moving us forward into a convention process. Because as I said earlier, the 7 of us sitting up here and answering these very detailed questions that the grassroots care about would never have happened in a primary. Millions of dollars would have been thrown at TV ads, pamphlets that would arrive in your mailbox, but today, you have sat here as we have debated and we have thrashed through the issues. And I keep bringing you back to what I believe the role of government is, that it should be limited. That government exists to secure and defend our right to life, to liberty, and to pursuit of happiness. I have a record in Stafford County of doing that, of limiting government. And I know you guys are very careful about analyzing and doing your research on your opponents, or you wouldn't have sat here for 4 hours or 3 hours listening to us. And so I do encourage you to go back and to look at the record. But to know when you go back and you look at it, remember, I understand the role of government. I've been tested on the battle lines, on front and center at the hardest level of the local government, and I have limited government. And I have put more freedom, not that I have the power to do that, but only through a vote to decrease government. Freedom should be in your hands to make those decisions. There's a verse where King David wasn't the king at the time. He was facing Goliath on the battlefield. He should have been scared to death. But there's a verse. David ran quickly to the battle line. And so I want you to know that I am not afraid to lose this election. And I have governed that way as the chairman in Stafford County. I'm not afraid to lose. I play to win. And I'm going to engage our culture, and I'm going to bring young, energetic leadership to this role of Lieutenant Governor. And thank you for this opportunity today.
First, thank all of you, and I want to thank Apple Valley Tea Party and the GOP committee down here and all my opponents for this debate today. You know, it is said that if you want to know how a man or a woman will govern, look to see how they have governed. Now, I look down at the General Assembly, and I have nobody else to push these things down on it. They say they were for a crackdown on illegal immigration. You know what they did? Nothing. They say they wanted to decrease your taxes. But you know what they do with spending? They increased it, 66% in 10 years. You can't cut taxes if you don't cut spending. They say that they wanted to finance roads. What do? They wait till the last minute. And then they trying to thrust a tax increase on all of you. That's not governing, ladies and gentlemen. That's cowardice. Now, I've been through a lot. As chairman of the board, I've been attacked by everybody. Everybody. MSDNC, Washington Post, and I hate to say this, but a lot of Republicans too. They might think I'm a little bit radical, but you know what I have done? I've been effective. I've gotten things done. They told me I couldn't do anything about illegal immigration, but I did. I got it passed. That was an accomplishment. They told me I couldn't cut spending, but I did. $143 million, bringing tax bills down 8.5%. They told me I couldn't fund transportation without a tax increase, but I did. Financing more than $300 million worth of new road improvements in Prince William County without raising taxes a nickel. You need to judge people based upon their accomplishments and their record. And I've been able to do it in a very tough county. That with 57% for Barack Obama, I can win here, and I'll tell you why I can win. Because I've got a record of accomplishments. Because people are tired of empty words. They want to see you get the job done, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to be the homecoming king down in Richmond. But I will be a fighter, and I will be a fighter for you.
Well, I want to thank you for spending the time with us this afternoon, too. It's been a pleasure to be here with you. And I want to remind you once again, you know, everyone agrees on all of the issues, and there's been a lot of talk about I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Let's face it, the lieutenant governor can't vote except if there's a tie vote, and the lieutenant governor can't even vote on a tax bill or the budget. So I want to tell you what I'd like to do when I'm not presiding over the state senate and I'm not checking on the governor's health every morning. I have 3 initiatives that I want to spearhead, because during those 10 months between sessions, the lieutenant governor can make whatever they want of the job, and I'm fortunate I can be a full-time lieutenant governor. A, I want to create a consortium with all the Republican lieutenant governors and have them engaged in Washington. Our governors can't get to Washington very often to testify before the committees, as the Speaker and the ranking member in the Senate have asked. But our Republican lieutenant governors have more flexibility and can be terrific representatives on Capitol Hill. And that's the way lieutenant governors, or I could, as lieutenant governor, make a difference on Capitol Hill and with the federal government. Secondly, 20% of our state budget is Medicaid. 20% and growing. It was 14% when I left the legislature 5 years ago. No one's talked about that today. You want to rein in budget costs, let's look at Medicaid. And 70% of Medicaid dollars are spent on nursing home care. So we talk a lot about health care, but nobody's talking about nursing home care or long-term care. If someone can stay in their house and have home health services, it's 20% of the cost of a nursing home. That's what we need to be talking about, and I will create a task force, a working group, to create a model in Virginia by which we can reduce long-term care costs and save millions of dollars in our budget. Thirdly, we have high unemployment in Southside and Southwest Virginia. I have the relationship with the technology community. They are supporting my campaign quite nicely, I must say, as I'm raising money. But I've been a part of that industry, and I want to create a synergy between them and the poorer parts of our state so that we can create jobs. Thanks so much for being here, and I'd appreciate your vote at the convention.
Well, thank you so much for coming out and spending time with us. And I do want to thank my colleagues up here too. This is a big deal. When you put it out there to run statewide, it is a big deal. And it's an impact on your family. I haven't seen my wife in 3 weeks. I'm going home to see her, and I'm so happy I can't tell you. As Lieutenant Governor, I want to follow up on this reform piece. When Alan Lauterbach took me under his wing and taught me as a freshman about the importance of the cost-cutting caucus, I knew this was important work. That's why I have fought for this, and as Lieutenant Governor, I want to continue to do it. I'll tell you something else I want to do. The great crisis that faces our country, this horrible attack on liberty, this crushing debt, in large measure has arrived because leaders don't listen. You cannot lead, folks, unless you listen. And as Lieutenant Governor, I promise you this, I'm going to travel this state. I'm going to listen to the people. When I go back to Richmond and they do something that's crazy, I'm going to tell them it's crazy. The last thing I want to say is this. Ronald Reagan was my hero. I could go on and on about this. He'd have been 102 this week. I want us to be the party of Reagan. Remember, just like the church always goes best forward when it goes back first to its fundamental roots, so too will the grand old party when we return to the fundamental principles that led to the high water mark of this party. I want to help you get us there.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. Thank you. If you're inclined to support me, I would ask that you come to the convention on May the 18th. Be a delegate for me, vote for me. If you're inclined to support me, I ask you, don't leave today without writing a check if you've got your checkbook. George Washington is my favorite American hero for a very simple reason. He didn't love power. He loved this country. He loved the freedom of his countrymen. And he had hope that something was being birthed here that was even beyond our imagination. Our founding fathers pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. It was not about a career. This has to be about saving our country, and maybe doing that through saving this Commonwealth. Ronald Reagan called this nation a city set on a hill. But the light was lit here, folks. And this is where we've got to set the light of liberty ablaze again. I ask you to help me, because we've got to be unified, and we've got to take our message out there, and we've got to remind every single citizen that this is the greatest nation on earth, and it was birthed here in Virginia, and Virginia can cause this nation to rise up again, and the 21st century can be the greatest century in the history of our country. Thank you all so much, and God bless you.